if you think about that, oh, it's just a wiki site, it's fake. Like I said before, they do hide reality and real truths in amongst the masses. So why would they even hide this? Gatekeeper is real. It's the same thing as if you read the biblical prophecies about the gatekeeper of Eden. It is a similar, very to exact same being. Except this being's doctrine to be Eden, the starting and replicating process, yeah, there may have been another garden, there may have been another land in the in-between itself that this is guarding. The paradigm effect of this being run and elevates only to other celestial beings. It will not allow regular humans near its opposite effect, and it is polarized in the foundation itself at a site. It is protected.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 32. Blue, how are you?
I'm good today, Mike.
Hey, what are we going to talk about today in 32?
One of the things we'll be talking about is the establishment of companies, uncivilized companies that have been doctoring themselves, especially in correlation here in the USA. These companies have not activated to maintain better, and they're pretty much deconstructing the grid from the inside out and polarizing their own wavelengths. It goes into like the 15-minute cities, as well as the establishment systems they are doing underground, underneath your feet. The signals that go into this effect, think about the Maui fires and think about how they do it for the upper elementals. Has anyone ever thought that there would be an aeronautical effect that could be systematically distributed underneath? Think about all these tunnelized systems that go underneath your feet and what they could maintain through that and repolarize through steam and other actions and events to pull up the heat indexers from the inside out. There are numerous ways that things can be sabotaged upon a planet. Do not believe whatsoever that Biden would say that this has to do with the heat infrastructure, the weather infrastructure itself causing problems. Planets can be manipulated through technologies and incorporated ways.
Wow, sounds like we got a lot to talk about again. I love it. I love it. Hey, and I also love that you're tuning in, that you're listening, that you're watching on video. And again, if we're not on a platform where you get your stuff, just let us know. We'll make sure we get on that platform. We want to be where you listen and watch. Also, please hit like, subscribe, and click on notifications so you know when we post new material. Blue, let's get right into it.
Yep, definitely. You know, these companies, construction companies, maintainment companies, and nowadays, since the Biden administration had elevating motivations for others to go in and surgically pull apart the planet and reproduce these types of algorithm codes, is not going to go well. Their processing statistics are reprogramming the entire realm into the world order that they would want. And it's destruction upon destruction. This does not need to be elevated. You go back into the Native American Indians, so they equalize between themselves what they fortified and how they obtained with the planet, them, and the creatures. They equalized. They had a better understanding. Now with these certain creatures now, what they are causing through this administration or not. They may act like they're an outstanding wavering tone of good effect, but if you dig down deep into it, where does this go? Where does this flow when you're placing concrete? When you're just tearing apart the foundations of the planet to make way for roads? When you're messing with underground itself? Underneath the planet, you should not even be circuiting these types of inlets. And if you are, there has to be better doctrine ways, closer maybe to what Elon would have. Like this subtunnels. and maybe correlating on top, fixing the structure itself.
You know, I do have a question about this because I understand it's hot. I understand it's, you know, hotter than it's been in a little while. I get all that stuff, but here's my point. It's that time of year. It's August. It's July. All right. This is the summer type months. It's going to be warmer. It's been more. It was warmer in 2011 than it is right now. And everybody's acting like the world is going to end. So I understand what you're saying about them intentionally trying to juice up stats and make things happen because, well, they've got money to grab. So my question is throwing money at it, just like we're doing in Ukraine, just like we're doing here with the Green New Steel, where they can all get paid on the back door. Go ahead and look up Solyndra, the solar company with Barack Obama from years ago. Go ahead and look that one up. That's a lot of fun. I'll do an episode on the side on that one. What I'm trying to say is this is all intentional. It's all money grab. Much like these plant-based products they're trying to put on us. If you could show me the plant, I'll eat the product. But you can't show me the plant because it's all mixed up crap and chemicals and goop and stuff. That's the same thing with this, except the goop and stuff is going in their pocket. I don't understand where money is going in Ukraine. There's no accountability. Go ahead and look that one up. I'll do a separate show on that. But here's my point. Trying to make this Green New Steel look like it's going to save the world is just padding their pockets. And by assisting in making numbers and artificially inflating numbers and convolution in the numbers, that's making everybody have second thoughts and think, oh my God, we are ruining the planet. We're not ruining the planet. And I'm sorry, I just had to get that off my chest, Blue. Go ahead. You wanted to elaborate further.
Well, the analysis of what you were stating goes more in depth. Exactly. You know, people need to pay attention to what's going on. They're correlating, tearing apart the ingredient points of the planet, but there are better ways to profit through things. And that doesn't mean ensnaring the masses.
I'm just confused on what we're supposed to do at this point from our standpoint. We may not be pulling all the strings. We may not have all the push and pull. And I don't even know if we really have our hands on the purse strings of this country with the way we throw money out the window here. And if they want to throw money out the window, just let me know where and when, and I will be at the bottom to catch it. Throw me some money if you're going to do that. It's all a devaluation of our currency when you get right down to it. And my whole thing again is, oh my gosh, the icebergs are going to melt. The seas are going to rise. Then why are all the politicians buying beachfront property? I mean, just stop and think about things, folks. It's always the opposite of what they want to do. If they tell us they're taking all this money and throwing it to save the planet, it's totally opposite. Trust me. Everything they do and say has been the opposite. So if they say something, look at the opposite and it'll be true. Blue, anything else you want to talk about this?
Well, setting it, just we got to pay attention. And with these companies, you know, they make mistakes too. If they're going to have these other beings come upon this realm like they are, instead of deconstructing things and acting the way they are, uncivilized, maybe they could think about what can be placed better for a higher age. Something that substantially doesn't tear away the realm itself and elevates not just humanity, but also the creatures, the planet, everything. Humanity cannot move forward unless even certain companies move forward. If these companies cannot move forward, then they should not be established that way. It's as simple as that.
Just one more quick footnote on this. This just came out as we're recording this today. They want to govern the ceiling fans that we use now. They want to see, it's all about control, folks. They want to govern your hot water heater. They want to govern your thermostat in your house. They want to govern the electricity that comes to power everything, even your car is what they want, so they can limit where you go. It's all about control, folks, and controlling your ceiling fan. I'm going to do it. I'm going to have to do a show just on that because I looked at the math on this. And again, it's just part of a green new money steal. But I know we got a lot to talk about today. We talked last episode about the SCP Foundation. What do we have to talk about today from the SCP Foundation?
Well, we got 3 more beings intact in our paranormal statistics. One of them is SCP-001, Gatekeeper. Currently, it is on classification mode, meaning if you look up on the site itself, it used to be doctrine within a few years ago, declassified and explained all about this being. Now, if you think about that, oh, it's just a wiki site, it's fake. Like I said before, they do hide reality and real truths in amongst the masses. So why would they even hide this? Gatekeeper is real. It's the same thing as if you read the biblical prophecies about the gatekeeper of Eden. It is a similar, very to exact same being, except this being's doctrine to the Eden, the starting and replicating process. Yeah, there may have been another garden, there may have been another land in the in-between itself that this is guarding. The paradigm effect of this being run and elevates only to other celestial beings. It will not allow regular humans near its opposite effect, and it is polarized in the foundation itself at a site. It is protected. It is a high hazard threat only because of the amount of power and knowledge it possesses. Nothing can be around this perimeter except for other higher elevated beings like itself. Now, coming to that node, the reason why they had it classified is because they're pumping something up very soon for this realm. And in between the perimeters of effect that are polarizing between two shifting processing statistics, Gatekeeper as thus is pushing an agenda forward. Now, if you think about it, you look it up, it does explain about it in the foundation, how this being had thus helped create the foundation in the first place. I'm not permitted to say the exact date and time when this happened, but the creature is not evil. It is more sovereign and controls two paradigm shifting realms between this world and the next.
Is there anything I should be concerned about with the gatekeeper? I mean, just me, normal guy.
It's protected. No,
okay.
No, because it will always be protected under the Foundation's eyes. It's locked up. But it is something humanity can know about. It's not an evil being. You know, there's further information that can be analyzed with it through like us. But it's going to happen to a certain prophetic vision. And then in that vision, they're going to put that documentation forward and declassify what's going to happen next. That's why they have that shut off right now.
It's amazing. It's amazing to me, you know, and go ahead and look this stuff up, folks. The SCP Foundation, they say that this is all fictional stuff and it's all creative writing and it's like a giant Dungeons and Dragons game on the internet and all this. You can believe that if you want, but it's a brilliant strategy on the government. They can put it out there in plain sight. They're not going to do away with the conspiracies or the photos or the inspiring minds and the people that are opening up and being able to understand these things. And they put it right out there. I'm convinced that they wanted in 1947 in Roswell, they wanted to make sure that it got out that it was a UFO. That's why it accidentally went out. And then it accidentally was pulled back. They want the controversy. They want the conspiracy because they want enough people to go, oh, yeah, that's not real. Just like today, you talk to some people, I call them normies. You meet somebody, you start talking about something and they go, you know, and I say something about 45 or what's going on in the world or COVID or whatever I'm talking about. And they look at me and they go, well, that's not true. If that was true, I would have saw it on the news. Really, folks? Are we still relying on the mainstream media to get our facts? So that's why I say this is a brilliant thing, the SCP Foundation. I think this is brilliant. It puts it right out there. Go ahead, everybody, have at it. Any other things from the SCP?
Yep, the skeleton key. And yes, they've actually made a movie about that too. There are real keys that they make in real life that are similar to this. Now, the only difference between that type of key and this type of key, this is more paranormal. It can unlock any door whatsoever it is. Even if it's something unknown in paranormal and statistic code, it can open it. And in the processing speed, sometimes it teleports on requisition. But that's very rare. And they have this locked up in a room. Now,
No, I just want to be clear. we're talking about, like I've seen back in the day, a skeleton key. We're talking
Yes.
about a real physical key.
Yes, and this is more paranormal because it can lock anything. It can unlock anything that could even shift it into a lock processing statistic that's even off planet. Anything whatsoever. It's more higher point of effect than what humans would have made a real skeleton key of the days. This type was, and it's indestructible too. You can't destroy it. It's a certain elemental biowave matter upon its stature effect that you cannot rip up and apart.
Wow. So this is like if I ever get the key to the city, it's still not as powerful as this skeleton key. I've never heard of this. This is all fascinating to me. You wonder, does the gatekeeper work with the skeleton key or no?
No, that's just another shifting process of the many paranormal things here on this realm throughout the timeline. There are thousands. It doesn't just have to be entities itself. It can be items. It can be buildings. It can be animals. It could be humans. It could be whole elements. It could be planets. The Foundation even holds certain planets in acquisition and has to watch out for certain objects that polarize in space. Like similar to this object that people have explained numerous times about, they have taken videos too. And it can run through a Syrian starport unit, but it floats in space and it's been floating there for many years, and it looks like a big, long black meteorite.
Wow. And we've talked about that before as well. There was one more you wanted to talk about today. What's the third SCP?
It's a shadow person. Now, there are two types of shadow people. The shadow person itself, the SCP that correlates with that, runs through a more of a negative biopsis grid, but the affirmation is they don't know if it's negative or not, because once it captures the being and then cloaks it, the being disappears. So either it takes it back to its own realm or signalizing that that being turns into another shadow person. And if that's the case, this is one of the main factors of an initializer shadow person. The initializer shadow persons elevate the beings of other shadow people. So it's better off just staying in the cell. Now, normally when humans do see shadow people, they don't go after them, they peek around the corner or something, or they're curious. These types of beings, they are as they are. They feed on elemental biowave matters of the neural integrating points of negativity and fear, but they don't feed on it like the Alpha Centauras would. It's different. When the particles are around, they just intake it and they suck it in, what was in the atmosphere. They don't affect people. There are other types that could, like that, but that more or less is portalizes them or changes them. These types are curious. I would still not mess with them unless you really know about them. I bumped into a couple of them myself one time around a graveyard here in the West Palm Beach area. There is an actual portal there. And another, they also signalize through alter mirror realm index effects. They can jump in between through certain mirrors, the integrating points that humans use. Mirrors are like a portals to certain beings, especially those that can have an elemental biowave movement stream like shadow beings can.
Wow. I got to ask you because this happens to me quite often. I don't have it very well documented, but often enough, maybe once a week or so, even in my own house, I think I see something out of the corner of my eye and I look and I can't identify it, or I think I saw motion somewhere. My question is do I have anything to be worried about? Could this be evil? Could this be good? Or I just don't know.
Well, if it's not attacking you and it doesn't feel negative, just leave it be. They're curious. They're feeders on the electromagnetic field grains. But some, if the electromagnetic field grains get off balance, it could cause them to improduce wrong. And it could multiply the beings and stagnate them outwards, and some could attack. But that's very, very rare. And normally certain Foundation members and other higher governmentals have that on cue, so it doesn't happen.
Wow. Wow, it sounds like something we could talk a whole show on. But I want to keep moving here. You had mentioned earlier you wanted to talk about soul splitting. Tell me more about that.
Well, interactive ways of an actual astral projection or time looping way of a wave of the actual aether itself polarizing and multiplying in the same timeline. Instead of back timelines where you have past lives and you remember those signalized effects and you can astral project to those past lives, this is different. This is the actual formation splitting into multiple directions in the same timeline through different directives. They could be different genders of the same opposites, similar to me and Donald Trump and others. Our integrating point is why I had stated about quantum twin. There and Sir Joseph Biden has replicated processing scenes of himself, triopsizing his own formulated DNA code into others. That is why some of the pictures, some of the videos look a little different than what he is. And sometimes he's bouncing back and forth, and that ain't the right type of person. But even then, there are timelines and justification speeds and similarities that could also process beings like us into other timeline drifts. Now, anybody could polarize their own engraving point like this, but it's very, very, very hard, to mostly impossible. But when it does come to happen, it usually happens because of a big paranormal shift. And that shift has to put into a better speeding wave for that designated timeline and or timelines. Thus helping the soul to learn its lessons in dexterity speeds and move forward. There, like you yourself, others could, but it cannot go through numerous indexers. And it has to be like a learning and dexterous node to be able to split your soul and program it into numerous set options.
You know, I've heard in the past that I'm always looking for improvement and, improvement in ourselves, because I think you got to start with yourself before you start anywhere else. I've seen and heard of manifesting, like this country was founded on manifest destiny. So you can manifest your reality. You can speak it into the universe and it'll become a reality. Is that the same thing that we're talking about here?
No, it's a bit different. It's the actual alter reality, a paradigm shift of moving your soul into several bodies in the same timeline at once. So you're looking like the similar person, except you're programmed into different definitions. Male, female is a little different, but we're similar to me and Donald. But regardless, his similarity runs into Biden. Regardless, Biden's similarity crisscrosses into others. This is a major paradigm shift that has happened upon this realm, and there are other timelines that processed into this. Now, if we think about it, time jumpers can happen as well, and the realities that forfeit through that. Souls can jump into another soul. It programs into others that have seen what looked like them, what looked like doubles or triples of them in the same timeline. Maybe you had a family that lives on the other side of the country and they say, hey, I thought I just seen you. Was that you? That was a double. It looked like you, but was similar. And there have been people that have bumped into others in the same timeline. They're not even related physically, and they end up being some type of similar processing speed because they are linked up through their souls, learning lessons and dexterities they polarize through. It is multiplying the soul's motivations forward.
I wonder, is that where we come up with the term finding your soulmate? If you find somebody that you end up in, as we understand relationships and marriage, here, is that what you think people have meant all along, just didn't realize it, that finding your soulmate, this is what we're talking about?
That's different. No, that's different. That goes into the twin flames. That goes into justifying speed, that the next terminology of soul is signaled to the other through a love statistic. This itself is the same person multiplied into other holograms.
Wow. So
There, yeah.
So there could be different realities for your same soul.
Yes, there you go. Different realities, different dimensions, different bodies in the same reality, and different wavelengths through that. But the self-programming speeds is you're linked to the other indexer. And through that shifting polarity speed, you're able to learn quicker. It doesn't happen to everybody, but there are some beings like ourselves that can program that. There can come a time, maybe if Elon Musk can polarize this outwards instead of his virtual reality node, making it an alter reality shifting paradigm. So that way the souls are shifting into better programming speeds throughout the process of moving forward through the timelines. They're learning, the programming speeds are becoming quicker. And while they're doing that, they're going to be able to shift upwards and ascend upwards.
Wow.
Become more heightened beings.
Sounds like we could spend a whole show on just soul splitting again. But I also know you want to get to some important things from your positions with the Space Force and the Federation, right?
Absolutely. Now, what was explained Monday, that there may have been 3 doomsday planes, and there was. And one had to do with Donald Trump in hiding, supposedly Kennedy Jr. in hiding, and to something important coming up. Just yesterday, Donald Trump was arrested in Georgia. He got out with a bond. But this was one of the major warnings outwards. We got to pay attention. What was warned about in the set programming speed with the one show we had done before, Mike, that if they put Donald Trump in jail for any set reason, fundamentally, they're going to have to deal with myself and Kennedy Jr. Now, the doomsday plates had held Kennedy Jr. and Donald Trump and others into a higher lifted effect, meaning because they were there, they were in hiding. Because they were in these different places, they were in hiding. They were in hiding because these Alpha Centauros are trying their best to decimate what they want for a reality. We already know John F. Kennedy Jr. to be the male Federation president. Now, if we don't pay attention to what's going on and directives that are being placed by these draconians, we're going to be set off balance altogether. And this goes out for September through November. They are going to shift a last push to the COVID's infrastructure. This is part of what the Space Force is dealing with. And that's going to cause a lot of problems for blacks and whites. Internally, this stuff never really affects Central Americans and most Asians. There's a reason why. Look it up. There are actually timetables that show throughout the whole entire planet of all these different races of whites and blacks, so no matter what they are transmediated with, downsizing over the past 2 to 3 years because of this. And then it's not even really affecting other points. Now they're going to declare one last war with this COVID. And if that is affected, it's going to cause major problems, like I stated. Be prepared to end up with shots again. Be prepared with the masks, unless you all elevate yourself and get the hell away from what they are trying to cause.
You know, we've talked about it before, and I hope, I mean, there was a lot of people, I know yourself, I know myself, I know a lot of like-minded people that didn't buy into any of this crap the first time around. And I can tell you, there's a lot of people that it's that old thing, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. I think this is when they put the pedal to the metal on this, which we see them accelerating on this. I think when they do that, I think they're in for a surprise. I think that everybody's just going to comply. You know, are you going to comply when the boxcar comes and the armed guards come and escort you onto the boxcar to a camp? You know, I can remember when the Germans it's just speech. That's okay. I'll give up my speech. Oh, it's just my gun. That's okay. They're going to protect me. Are you serious? So here's my question to you, Blue. At this point, being we know something's in the works here again, What can I do? I'm a normal person. I'm not. I don't have a bunker. What do I do?
We got to alternate and stop the shifting from happening. That means all the lawful standards, even normies and even those above, need to polarize, waking up mankind. In doctrine effect, if they keep this up, they already jailed him. Now they knocked off the balance of the Federation's documentations. They have to deal with us. And if they push this, that's going to come to a standstill and a stop upon their own perimeters. They have to put into the QH. If they start this diagnosing strain and it does start affecting people, like I stated, pay attention. We need to make a cut off as soon as possible.
Wow. Wow, we're out of time already. I love it. I love it when we can keep talking forever. Let's go ahead and talk about ET of the week, though.
Yes, ET of the week, the Empera Nuerut. Central deserts of ancient Indian and Pakistani timelines. Justification that the Vatican had the documentations from these beings. This is polarized as one of them effects. Timeline incarnate currently off base, so their perimeters are hidden in agenda, dealing with pre-op military affairs and governmentals. 6.5 to 8.1 feet in length and inclined to leathery brown skin. The statistic zones are now reestablished and restrained from humanity. They have pathogenetically altered and look more or less like a mix, an inbreed of a canine and a giraffe, but they're very tiny. And they mix inbreeds the effective recalling code that did diagnose upon certain timelines. Some of the species here are also here on this planet that look different, they came just to be, may have been justified through similarities like this. They are very intellectual as well, and the animals do protect them are obstacles. They're similar, like I said, to what a human being with a canine. And they eat and breathe a lot less than a normal person does.
I'm trying to understand the visual here, and I saw a picture that you had sent. This is a very large being here. And my question is do I have anything to fear? If I see one of these beings, nothing to fear, I'm good?
They're protected by government and military, considered an endangered species. Extraterrestrials even are endangered because of the stupidity that was fundamentally placed upon timelines. Don't think that the governments just protect animals here and consider them endangered. There are many other types of shifting realities.
Wow. This is huge. We're out of time. Hey, I want to make sure I thank everybody for watching. I thank everybody for listening. A reminder, go ahead and click on like, subscribe, notifications. If you have any questions for us, hit us up on the socials. Blue, episode 32 in the books. Wonderful job again. I look forward to next time.
Yes, thank you, Mike.